I know it's been a while since I mentioned my Terrestria series, but let's just get this out of the way, shall we? As you probably know from my previous videos, I plan on making a fantasy fairy tale themed series known as the Terrestria Universe series, with one sub-series I plan on making being Fairy Tale Travelers, as I mentioned before. As the title implies, it is basically a crossover of certain characters that you know from classic fairy tales and folk tales, whether they be from the sanitized children's versions or the older and darker versions that have become a lot more prominent nowadays. But in this case, I plan on making it an organic and cohesive crossover that will involve a myth arc of sorts, which needs to be solved by the main protagonist. One of the main protagonists that I have planned is none other than Jack, who is based on Jack and the Beanstalk, along with other characters named Jack, such as Jack the Giant Slayer and Jack Horner. No, not that Jack Horner, but my Jack does love to eat plum pies for the holidays, or even birthdays. In this case, Jack does not kill giants, but rather he is friendly with them, as shown by his story, which you can watch on my channel. In that story, he accidentally grows a beanstalk using the power of his newfound essence given to him by his mentor and traveling companion, Gauter. If I were to base him on certain characters, physically speaking, I feel like Sora from Kingdom Hearts and Pit from Kid Icarus, more specifically his Kid Icarus Uprising and Super Smash Bros. Self, as being the main references for his character design. As for his headcanon voice actor, I imagine Jeremy Shada, since his work as Finn from Adventure Time did help create the basis for Jack in this series. You can say Jack is a composite character of Sora, Pit, and Finn the human, as, like them, he is a young and somewhat naive man who wishes to become a hero in his own right. But rest assured, he's not nearly as insufferable or bratty or stupid, since he's a lot nicer and less prone to being selfish, even if he can be a tad bit reckless at times, as shown by the Beanstalk incident. You can say that, like Telemachus from Epic the Musical, he wants to be legendary in his own right, since he has heard stories and tales of heroes from the ages of old and seeks to carve his own legacy, but in a good way. Of course, his story will show just how risky being a hero can truly be, and how there is a price to pay for such a wish. Gauter ends up being the deuteragonist of the story, as he accompanies Jack throughout his entire journey across Terrestria, teaching him how to use his essence powers properly and to help him become a hero. Not just that, he also seeks to turn him into his successor in order to inherit the last remaining essence he has and use it wisely before his passing. I based him on the archetypical mentor figures that is seen in old folk tales and fairy tales like Merlin, and perhaps bits of Odin from Norse mythology. I even imagine Gauter as having one eye, just like Odin does, though how he lost it is a mystery. As for his physical appearance, I based him on the more traditional depictions of Odin from Norse mythology, especially the kinds where he's depicted as being wizard-like in a way, along with bits of his God of War Ragnarok self, and apologies for spoiler alerts. I even based his appearance on Lord Yupa from Nausicaa, since he's also an elderly mentor figure capable of kicking butt if he has to, and perhaps bits of Gandalf from Lord of the Rings. Gauter is a patient, calm, and wise man who has lived for many years due to his essence basically extending his lifespan to the point where he may as well be akin to Methuselah from the Bible, who was famous for being one of the oldest and long-lived humans to ever exist in history. As for his powers and abilities, he is good at diplomacy as well as martial arts from ancient times. Not just that, his main essence abilities involve telekinesis, chlorokinesis, levitation, and flight. He also has a close connection to the Fae, especially giants, given his previous experience with them back in his day. When it comes to his headcanon voice actor, I feel like he could sound like Peter Cullen, since he has that wise and gentle tone thanks to his experience in playing Optimus Prime and other mentor figure characters. As for what the plot for Fairy Tale Travelers will be about, It will involve Jack and Gauter traveling around various realms of Terrestria related to both humans and fae folk, while also dealing with various incidents caused by criminals, demons, and a witch coven who seek to take over the land and gain control over both humans and fae. They will also be accompanied by various other traveling companions from different stories and tales, such as Red Riding Hood, Goldilocks and the Three Bears, Cinderella, the Six Swans, Puss in Boots, Pied Piper, Rapunzel, Snow White, and the Seven Dwarfs, Lindworm, Wizard of Oz, and many more. They will come and go from time to time while also playing big roles in the plots due to their personal stories intertwining in some way. You could say it's akin to how Pokemon, the anime, worked with Ash and Pikachu, often having a rotating amount of traveling companions who came and went depending on the region, or even One Piece, where the Straw Hat Pirates had characters such as Vivi and Karoo temporarily joining them in order to save her kingdom in some of the story arcs or sagas. Speaking of sagas, I plan on having the story be split into 3 sagas, but with each of them having an overarching story that also have bits of the usual myth arc in order to provide world building regarding Terrestria, besides my other stories like my Agents of Death and Rise of the Dragon Lord series. It will not only harken back to classic fairy tales and folk tales, including the more obscure ones, but modern ones as well. These are the ones I have so far. Number 1, the Six Swans saga. Number 2, the Cursed Mirror Shard saga. And number 3, the Kingdom of Oz saga. I feel like if it were adapted into a series, preferably an animated one, I imagine each saga would be split into 3 seasons, akin to Gravity Falls having 2 seasons, or even Ruby, since they split the seasons into volumes. So yeah, that's basically the overall idea I have, and while there may be changes in the future, rest assured the story will be quite interesting to say the least.